Yeah, tips on how to catch a hat. First you grab your gloves and mask and make sure you wearing black on black. If you smart nigga, you a Leo phone, so that bitch won't get trapped. If you smart nigga, you'll go on your own, cause most these niggas rats. Yeah, bitch, I hope you taking notes. Pull up pocket whenever you see your target. Don't be scared to blow. Walk them down, ain't shooting up out no car. Jump out, take your soul.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, which is to say in the Paleo-Hebrew, Yahweh, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is, and that is who the world ignorantly calls God, Bahashim, which means in the name, Yahweh Shai, which means He is our salvation. And that is who the world also ignorantly calls Jesus, a so-called black man, who, by the way, only came for the Israelites. All right? Which brings us to our discussion / topic this morning. Okay? Now, what we saw was a video game, but what type of video game? Okay? See, this is what the youth has turned to, okay? Making videos on how to catch a hat or run down on your op. See? Now, we had video games back in our days, but not to this extent right here, where you could put together a tutorial on how to go about catching a body, all right? And not just any old body, but a body that looks like you, okay? This is the type of misfit that Babylon the Great breeds, okay? Because why? It allows you to be wicked, okay? It allows you to put videos up like that on, albeit it a video game type of tutorial, but nevertheless, it's some truth behind that, okay? It's some truth behind how that individual said go about catching a hat, you know? And see, this is what is lauded, is praised in a wicked society, okay? Especially ran by Esau Edom, all right? The first, well, Cain was the first killer, but in the reincarnation, Esau Edom is just that, okay? First murderer. All right, who what? Ran down on his brother, Abel, the righteous, okay? So it doesn't surprise, or it shouldn't surprise you that Esau Edom will promote that type of behavior here in Babylon the Great, all right? So nevertheless, this is Isaiah 3 in verse 12. It says, as for my people, children are their oppressors. See? What do you think we picked up this behavior from? By this childlike ruler, Esau Edom. It says, and women rule over them. See? A lot of these young, as they call them, ninjas or YNs, are raised up in a house with no father figure. All right? So they're very emotional. They don't know how to check their emotions at the door, okay? What do? Because back in the day, hey, you had to go squabble out, all right? You didn't go pick up a firearm and have to worry about running down on your op. You go out in the front yard, hell, even at the bus stop if you going to school, and what happened? You got beef, you fight it out right there at the bus stop, all right? You didn't have to worry about going to the Quickie Mart or the gas station and having somebody run up on you and catch a hat, as they say. I guess that's what they calling it now. See? That was not something we had to worry about back in our days, man. Okay, we caught fades, not hats. We caught fades, man. And you lived to tell about it. You might have been a little bit embarrassed to come to school the next day, but nevertheless, you was alive to at least have to worry about that feeling of coming to school, you know? And if you won that fate, you couldn't wait to go to school, all right? But nevertheless, you was alive to tell about it, okay? So it says, as for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err. See, and Esau, Edom put that whole, division together of taking away the man, the husband out of the house and allowing a woman to rule over the children, all right? And especially over the younger males, okay? Especially over the younger males. That's what you see in the product of these YNs today, okay? Being raised without having a father figure, that strong, stern figure that they need to check their emotions with, all right? They reenact what they see their mothers do, all right? And for the most part, women are very highly emotional creatures, man, okay? So now you put that in a body of a YN, and they liable to go off on the deep end and go catch a hat, all right? But see, this is the wickedness in the society that we live in, and ultimately we know it's because we under the curses, all right? And this is why we, yearn for a new heaven, a new earth, whereas righteous dwelleth, all right? Because we tired of this wickedness, man, all right? If you're not oppressed by this wickedness that you got to wake up to every day, you got to check your temperature, all right? Because if you ain't tired of being in this wicked society, then that means you're wicked yourself, okay? So it says, women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, see? And destroy the way of thy paths. And that's exactly what they were set out to do. They set out to destroy the way of our paths, man. All right, and for the 2/3, they achieved just that, man. They destroyed the 2/3 of our people, all right? But see, it's always that small remnant, the elect, that the Lord kept for himself, all right? And that's all he's looking for, is that small remnant. Now let's read this in a different translation, or different translations, depending on how it hits. This is the NLT for Isaiah 3:12. It says, childish leaders, couldn't get any more childish than Esau, Edom, oppress my people, and women rule over them. Why? Because Esau, Edom put the woman in that role, that, authoritative figure role, okay? It says, oh, my people, your leaders misled you, see? And we don't have any leaders, okay? That's why we've been misled. You go to the church, you ain't gonna get the truth from your pastors out of these churches. Because why? They've been bought, all right, for a price. See? It says, oh, my people, your leaders mislead you. See, but that's why the Lord set up the service of prophets, all right, in these last days. All right, as it says, roughly paraphrasing, I have set up the apostles for the last. All right. So we got pastors that's going to feed us according to the Lord's heart, pursuant to Jeremiah 3:15, if I'm not mistaken. All right. But see, only the elect is going to take heed to that. So it says your leaders misled you, because we was all once misled going into these churches, these, different religions, okay? It says they send you down the wrong road. And that's what we led up, down the wrong road. It wasn't until we woke up to this marvelous light that we saw the path, okay? But sadly to say, the 2/3 of our people, they ain't going to see that path, all right? They're not going to see it until they come back into the kingdom, all right? So their fate has been sealed if they're 2/3, okay? This is it for them, all right? This is it. Catching bodies, all right? Now, like I said earlier, it was a video game, but it's some truth behind that, all right? It's some truth behind that, all right? And here in Babylon the Great, you can exploit that, all right? You can be lauded, you can be praised for giving tips on how to catch bodies, or catching a hat, as they say. Hat versus phase. That may be the name of this title or lesson, okay? Let's see if there's any more translations that Let's see what the BBE and the AMP is talking about. Okay, we'll stop at the BBE, Bible, Basic Bible English. As for my people, their ruler is acting like a child. See? Because a child don't know, how to differentiate between wrong and right. Well, that's Esau, Edom. Okay? Because why? The laws, the statutes, commandments weren't given to him. All right? So you got a child that's in rulership right now. It says, as for my people, their ruler is acting like a child. And those who have authority over them are women. See? Because why? Esau, Edom set it up that way. But ultimately, it was the Lord that put us under these curses that, used this devil, Esau, Edom, to go about, fulfilling the will. Because why? We were disobedient. All right? It says, oh, my people, your guides are the cause of your wandering. See? Your guides. Those things that you turn to that aren't of the Bible, man. It says, turning your footsteps out of the right way. See that? One more. See what the AMP looking like. Oh, my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. Oh, my people, your leaders lead you astray, and confuse, destroy, swallow up the direction of your path. See? So this is why we so desperately need our Lord and Savior Yahweh Shai to return, because you can only imagine how much more evil is if the Lord didn't come, would pursue this earth under this current wicked rulership, this childlike ruler, Esau, Edom. All right? Because it tells us in the book of Isaiah, this same book, but a few chapters over, verse 5 and verse 20, that what? Let's read it. This is Isaiah 5 and 20. Woe unto them that call evil good. So in this society, Esau, Edom rewards evil as if it was good. It says, and good evil, but he punishes that which is good. He makes it to where it's, looked at under a negative light. That put darkness for light, see? Ass backwards, and light for darkness. That put bitter for sweet, what else? And sweet for bitter. That's the hallmarks of a damn child, man. Don't know left or right. Got to be taught. Well, this is the oppressor that's ruling over us, okay? This damn devil, man. All right? And we're seeing that trickle down all the way to our youth, these YNs, okay? That don't have that positive father figure, don't have a father in general, raised by their mama, over emotional. You give them a weapon as deadly as a firearm, and they don't know what to do. All right, especially in cities like Chicago, New York, DC, Los Angeles. In these type of environments, they liable. Well, they are. They taking out, they own brothers, man. You see? And that's part of the curse, man, to have an evil eye towards your brother, okay? Because we once were tender towards each other, but now we got that evil eye, man. So we need the Lord to come and to lift these curses off of us and put them onto our enemies, pursuant to Deuteronomy 30 and verse 7. So it says, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. See? That's why we waiting earnestly for those new heavens and new earth, which symbolize what? A righteous kingdom. Because this current earth and current heaven is ran by who? The wicked. Pursuant to what? Job 9 and 24. The earth is given unto the hand of the wicked. That's why it's ran the way it is, so you can identify just who the wicked is, and you'll know who's in rulership. All right, the so-called white man, biblical known as Esau, Edom. All right. Let's get one more, then we close out. Revelation, is it 20? Wait. 21. This is Revelation 21 and verse 1. The new heaven and earth is the subtitle. It says, and I saw a new heaven and a new earth, which represents rulership. For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, which is the one that we're currently in, which is the last heathen to ever rule over us. After this, we won't have to worry about no childs ruling over us or women, ruling over us, because everything will be in its proper order, starting with Yahweh Shai, the man, then the woman, okay? See, under this current rulership that's ran by Esau Edom, he got everything ass backwards. He got the woman over the man. See? He don't acknowledge, the Father. He don't acknowledge the only begotten Son. He thinks he is God. As it says in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, him sitting in the temple thinking that he is God, roughly paraphrasing. All right? What you going to do with something like that? All right? You got to put somebody out, like, you got to put someone out like that out of their misery, man, because they rogue. They done went rogue, man. So it says, and I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. Let me see, is this the one I'm talking about? It might be another verse, but this one hits hard too. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, which is the Israelites, coming down from the Most High out of heaven, which is the chariots, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. All right? I'm trying to look and see where it says we're in righteous dwelleth. Give me 1 second, because it might be a verse similar to this, but I know it says we're righteous dwellers. Because this is what we're waiting on, we're righteous dwellers. And if you're not waiting on this, then you got to really examine yourself, whether or not you be in the faith. Okay? 2 Corinthians 13 and 5. Oh, see, I was off. Now, Revelation 21 was similar sort of to this, what we finna go to in 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 13. I mean, you could pair them up together and you wouldn't be wrong. It says, nevertheless, 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 13. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth, which is represented by what? Rulership, wherein dwelleth righteousness. See? This is what we're looking forward to, all right? A new heaven, a new earth, New Jerusalem, all right? Where the Israelites, the so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, are not trying to off each other, not trying to catch a hat, all right? That we're governing the whole earth, and the earth is going to benefit from that. Because as it currently sits, the earth isn't benefiting from anything that this child is doing in rulership right now, all right? Even the earth is mourning, all right? This damn child won't give it rest. It works it 7 days straight. No rest. No 6 days and 1 day rest. No, see? This is a child unfit to rule. Okay? So let's read it again. 2 Peter 3 and 13. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise. Whose promise? Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. That we going to be in charge. That we going to be the future rulers. It says, look for new heavens in a new earth. This is representation of a new rulership, wherein dwelleth righteousness. See, we know right now righteousness doesn't dwell in this earth, because why? The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. All right, so this is what we're waiting on. All right, so this is why you can, promote wickedness in this society, and no one thinks any else wise. Like, they don't see the wickedness behind that. See, we want a new heaven and a new earth where that type of behavior is not praised and lauded. Matter of fact, is shunned. All right, it's rebuked. All right, not in this society, not under this wicked current ruler. All right, it's praised. It's to be commended even. Okay, how many hats you got? How many bodies you got? See, that ain't gonna be in the kingdom, man. All right, we gonna be back, having that brotherly love for one another. Okay, because everybody gonna be perfect. That's an Israelite. All right, they're gonna have the laws, the statutes, the commandments already in their inward hearts, their minds. Okay, so there ain't gonna be no need to make a tutorial on how to catch a hat, whether it's jokingly or whether it's for real. All right, because you can't put that past a damn Jake, especially a YN that got that already thought to do something like that, and then come across that video and take it to heart and actually go about trying to pull it off. All right, you can't put any of that past, a YN, a young ninja, especially in this environment and in this kingdom that we in, this wicked, unrighteous rulership ran by Esau Edom. So we just waiting on new heavens and new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. All right, this is what we're waiting for. And if you're not waiting for that, that means you're just as big as a problem as those that are committing the problem. If you're not waiting and you're not, yearning for that. All right, so you need to check your temperature. This is the book of 1 Peter, chapter 5 and verse 8. You might not be either one of these. This is 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. It says, be sober, be vigilant. If you ain't oppressed and you ain't, upset with the current condition that you in, you might not be, matter of fact, you're not sober and you're not vigilant. All right, why? It says, because your adversary, the devil, see, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. And that's just it. You've been devoured, all right, by the lust, by the ways of this world. All right, you don't see anything wrong with that. All right, that was alarming to me when I saw that. I was like, wait a second, come on now. I know it's a video game, but still, I see the folly behind that, man. As it says, my people are quick to do wicked, but to do righteous they know no good, man. All right, they want to make a video on how to forgive your op, as they call it, how to forgive your brother, how that this path right here that you're going down, if you do this, is going to wind up landing you in prison. They won't show the repercussions of that. No, that's too much of a good video, which we know we read. They call evil good and good evil. See, they wouldn't make those type of videos. Why? Because it doesn't promote them enough. All right, they want the look, he caught a op over the video game. See, that's what they want, man. All right, and sadly to say, our people are heavily invested in giving the other people what they want. All right, even at the expense of knowing that it's wrong. Okay, that's just the times that we in. Okay, where people rather be famous and have the glory of being wicked than the non-glory and the non-famous of being, righteous or attempting to be righteous to the best of your ability. All right, but nevertheless, be sober, be vigilant. Why? Because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. All right, so that's pretty much it. With that being said, pray someone was edified through this lesson. And until the next time, if it be the Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. We're almost home. Shalom. Peace.